How do you tell a week-long story in 2 hours? It's a short enough time span to pivot on every word or emotion like 12 Angry Men. On the other hand, it's a long enough time span to zoom out and document profound change like Forrest Gump. However, director David Fincher finds the perfect balance by masterfully using a very interesting technique. Let's check out his 1995 movie, Seven. David Fincher is an expert in presenting information to the audience. He presents the character of Somerset by having him ask a question.
The kid see it?
What?
The kid.
What kind of fucking question is that? You know, we are all gonna be real glad when we get rid of you, Somerset. You know that?
Not only is David Fincher an expert in presenting information to the audience, but he is also a master of presenting the right amount of information. By doing this right, he carefully crafts mental images in our minds. Sometimes, the right amount of information means simply leaving something out, making us fill in those parts based off of our own imaginations. For example, the city's name is never given, but it is shown as a toxic place, riddled with crime and drenched in torrential rain. The city remains nameless so that the audience can be left to imagine what else is wrong. We may even project any of our own bad city experiences onto this city in Seven. This technique of omitting certain aspects of the movie moves the most horrific parts from the screen to the viewer's mind. Fincher does this incredibly skillfully with the murders, giving us mental images that we'll never forget. If you're not familiar with the movie, these horrific murders are carried out by the serial killer John Doe as punishment for the 7 deadly sins: gluttony, greed, sloth, lust, pride, envy, and wrath. These murders are so meticulously planned and so disgusting in their nature, yet with 6 of the murders, we don't actually see them occurring. Fincher chains us to the perspective of detectives Somerset and Mills. We only get to see the aftermath of each murder. And so, what we imagine is actually far worse than anything in the movie. Here's a scene that helps accomplish exactly this, with a gluttony murder victim who was basically forced to eat until he died.
Killer put a bucket beneath him, kept on serving. Took his time, too. Coroner said this could have gone on for more than 12 hours. Victim's throat was swollen, probably from the effort. And there was definitely a point when he passed out. That's when the killer kicked him, and he burst.
Oof, sadistic fucker, huh?
Here's another scene describing the lust murder.
He put that thing on me, and he made me wear it. Then he told me to fuck her. And I did. I fucked her. Oh God, oh God, oh God, he had a gun in my mouth. The fucking gun was in my throat. Fuck!
After seeing the aftermath of the first murder alone, you already know that this killer is absolutely twisted. In fact, by being led to visualize what the killer does, Fincher is forcing us to step into the killer's shoes. Without explicitly knowing it, Fincher leads us to project the most terrible side of ourselves onto the killer, John Doe. We begin to see John Doe as what Carl Jung called our shadow, all of our negative and socially unaccepted personality traits that we reject. Usually, we suppress it to the unconscious. Here's an excerpt from the MacGuffin's analysis. In the first 3 crimes, the devotion, madness, and message of John Doe start to appear. We begin to understand him, but even worse, we begin to feel for him. Everyone has been disgusted at one point or another when a shady defense lawyer is able to get a murderer cleared of charges. We're disgusted by these people. John Doe is disgusted as well, but he's doing something about it. And while Fincher leaves 6 of the 7 murders to our imaginations, the character of John Doe himself may be the single most important thing he leaves out, for most of the movie at least. You see John Doe's work, you see his apartment, and you even catch a few glimpses of him during a chase scene. During this time that John Doe is invisible, we fill in that void with our shadows. This is why when he actually arrives, it is chilling and effective.
You knew I'd say yes.
Hey, we're here.
When the fuck?
Your wife called before. Get yourself an answer machine.
Detective.
After this, I'm gone.
Detective.
No big surprise.
You're looking for me.
Don't you fucking move. On the fucking floor.
Keep away from him!
On the fucking floor!
For the rest of the movie, Doe is left in what appears to be a powerless position. He is in police custody and isn't a threat. We can't possibly imagine how he will win. At this point in the movie, he has carried out 5 murders and is 2 murders away from completing his masterpiece. Now that the mirror to the darkest side of our souls is set up, director David Fincher begins to ask us to take a good look at ourselves. Later in the movie, Doe asks Mills a question that is indirectly being asked to the audience.
How happy would it make you to hurt me with impunity?
That hurts my feelings. I would never.
You wouldn't, only because there's consequences.
Here, he is sowing the seeds of wrath in Mills's mind, planting an idea. At the same time, the audience is being asked to question whether or not they would give into their shadows to lash out at him. Would you sink to his level? Are you any better than this insane serial killer?
It's more comfortable for you to label me insane.
And is Doe any better than the people he killed?
Innocent? Is that supposed to be funny? An obese man? A disgusting man who could barely stand up? A man who, if you saw him on the street, you'd point him out to your friends so that they could join you in mocking him? A man who, if you saw him while you were eating, you wouldn't be able to finish your meal? And after him, I picked the lawyer, and you both must have secretly been thanking me for that one. This is a man who dedicated his life to making money by lying with every breath that he could muster, to keeping murderers and rapists on the streets.
Murderers.
A woman.
Murderers, John, like
A
yourself.
woman. So ugly on the inside that she couldn't bear to go on living if she couldn't be beautiful on the outside. A drug dealer, a drug-dealing pederast, actually. And let's not forget the disease-spreading whore. Only in a world this shitty could you even try to say these were innocent people and keep a straight face.
These are statements hard to argue with. In fact, you probably agree to a certain extent. Because of the audience casting their shadows onto John Doe, we recognize a piece of ourselves in him, and may even start feeling for the serial killer. Doe believes he is no better than his victims. He reveals that his deadly sin is envy. When wrath finally takes over Mills and he shoots Doe, he is giving Doe what he wants. Doe escapes prosecution through death, which he embraces. He knows he deserves his death, and so he dies fulfilled, his mission completed. This is the moment Fincher has been building up to for the entire movie, and it pays off as one of the most suspenseful climaxes in film history. Fincher makes us hate Doe as we hate our most evil characteristics, but at the same time, we feel for him, knowing he is in all of us. The camera is deliberately positioned from the point of view of John Doe, your shadow. The audience is fundamentally no better than John Doe, his victims, or anyone else. We are all terribly flawed. And yet, the movie ends positively. Somerset starts off the movie seeing all of these terrible flaws and resolving to apathy. In an earlier scene, he said,
I just don't think I can continue to live in a place that embraces and nurtures apathy as if it was a virtue.
But as Mills and Somerset face in opposite directions right after Doe collapses, one thing is for sure, and that's that Somerset is a changed man. Somerset has been forced to confront his own view on the world after he is forced to confront Doe, his own darker side. According to Jung, we should all accept our shadows not as a disgusting aspect of ourselves, but as an essential part of our being. Most psychologists agree that to know yourself, you need to accept your shadow. Apparently, this is what happens with Somerset throughout the film, and in the end, he is finally able to channel his apathy into something positive. After seeing the worst of humanity, the worst sides of ourselves, he sees the hope and beauty in this world.
Where you gonna be?
Around. I'll be around.
Mills is arrested, Somerset has changed, and Doe has won. Fincher has effectively omitted certain aspects of the movie so that we recognize John Doe as a side of ourselves that we keep chained up. We realize that everyone has a shadow, including ourselves, but we also see the beauty in this. This is how director David Fincher tells a 7-day story in 127 minutes. And not only does he accomplish that, but by the end of the movie, we are also questioning ourselves, our world, and what to do. The audience is left with a message to keep fighting. There is some light in this apathetic world, and in the end, the movie closes with this.
Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
So this is the first time I'm doing a video essay. It's just something that I decided to try out. I take a lot of inspiration from channels like Nerdwriter or Lessons from the Screenplay. Lessons from the Screenplay actually has a great video on Somerset's own character arc. I highly recommend it. So if you enjoyed, please, any support, any constructive criticism, it's all welcome. I hope that this is something that I'll be able to do more in the future. And yeah,